So a lot of people think that you can't hear God's voice, but I'm going to prove that wrong. So Hebrews 4 says, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. And I already know, like a lot of you are going to say, well, make sure you put that in its proper context. I'm gonna. So this verse was first used, it's actually a quote from King David in the Psalms. And it means just what it's saying. David is telling people, if you hear God's voice today, which talking about back then, do not harden your hearts. And then it was used again in reference to Jesus. If you hear his voice, don't harden your heart, as in the rebellion. And then the writer here in Hebrews is saying, and this is after Jesus came and died and ascended back to heaven, he's saying, if you hear God's voice today, do not harden your hearts. And the implication is that every day is today. He's actually talking about every day, not actually a specific day. But any day that you do hear God's voice, don't harden your heart. It's actually an exhortation to always being open to what God has to say to you. So can you hear God's voice? Absolutely, you can hear God's voice. And I would say that if you can't hear God's voice, it might be because your heart is hard. God bless.